One of the other new changes that the NCAA pushed through is the new 5-and-5 rule. And I wanted to go over it and see how it affected Purdue for next season and what that's going to look like for us. So just wanted to start with kind of the overview of what the rule is going to be. So first of all players receive 5 seasons of eligibility in 5 years. So you can play 5 seasons in a 5-year window. That eligibility begins the academic year after the player graduates from high school or when they turn 19, whichever happens first. That's to try to get rid of the 30-year-olds playing college basketball. Some key takeaways right away. It eliminates traditional redshirt years. So even if you redshirt your first year, you don't get 6 years then in total to play 5 years. You only get the same 5 years. Rare exceptions would be made for medical redshirts and a few other reasons why people would need an extra year, but those are apparently going to be a lot more strict going forward. And this will not retroactively apply to players who completed their eligibility at the end of the 25-26 season. So, Braden and Fletcher, sorry about
It's
that.
unfortunate, man. We were 1 year off.
I know. I feel like Fletcher would have come back. Maybe
For
not
sure.
Braden, but I feel like Fletcher could have come back.
Braden would have destroyed the
yeah.
assist record again. He would have been untouchable at that point.
I mean, you look at it now, though, and with this new rule, it kind of is just untouchable. Because now anyone who breaks it, you can say, well, they had 5 years. So I feel unless they break it in 4 years and then go to the NBA or just leave college for whatever reason, then I feel like it's...
That's kind of the old man point of view. I can't believe we're already old enough to start doing this, but it's just going to be the new regular. Like, it's just everybody gets 5 years. It's just that's the new, if this goes through, the new norm. And so I am happy that it's getting rid of those old players. Like, if there's not really a reason you could be 25 and playing in the NCAA. That's awesome. I think that's a great addition. That's something we do not need to have in the NCAA. It's just, do we need guys playing a 5th season? I guess if we get to the point where everybody's doing it, it's not the same argument that you have 23-year-olds playing against 19-year-olds. It's just 23-year-olds playing against other 23-year-olds a lot of the time now. So it's interesting.
Yeah, no one wants to see me suit up on an NCAA court.
I still got time.
After July. That is true. So kind of what this means for Purdue. So like I mentioned, Braden, Fletcher, TKR, there was some talk early. I know some people were making videos about it. They're not coming back. Since they finished at the end of the 2026 season, they will not be the starters. And we can actually have conversations about who's going to be the starters in 2026 and not have it just end up being the same exact 5 as it was last year. Somehow with new rules. You know what? Maybe I probably would have too. Caden Pierce will probably still have that just 1 year remaining. So since he redshirted the 25-26 season, but he started in the 22-26 season, this next one's going to be his 5th year. So that's still going to be that 5-and-5 if that retroactively applies. This is still his 5th year, so that's going to be his last one. And that redshirt's not going to apply for a potential future 5th year in 6 years, just based on how it works right now. If this does go into effect this offseason, this one's kind of interesting. Luke Girdle, Jacob Weber, Rivers Knight, and Zenon Wan will have 5 years of eligibility. And given that this is going to eliminate redshirt rules, it's likely they're all going to get minutes right away. So I know it was widely speculated that Rivers Knight would redshirt this year. He would not under these new rules.
That's actually a really interesting, I didn't even think about it from that perspective. Like, you're just going to see guys who wouldn't normally play, like, get minutes. Like, because why not? I mean, obviously you want to get experience for your guys, like, throughout the season, but let's say we're playing some early team in the season that's not super important. Why not throw in a guy like Rivers Knight who wouldn't have played this year but's going to get 2 games played? That's a really interesting part of this.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting, especially now, end of game, you won't see Jace Rail. You'll see Rivers Knight and Jacob Weber suiting up, which I think will be good for their development. Antoine West last year probably would have been good to have him in a few games at the end just to kind of get some blowouts, and kind of just unfortunate timing for him and a guy like Riley Burgess where they probably didn't need to end up actually using those redshirt rules. And that's why I think there's probably going to be quite a few lawsuits that come from this with players who are trying to get more eligibility, who didn't know about the rules rules. So we'll see how those hold up in court. Second one, or kind of fourth one here, Jamin Sondrup will still likely have 5 years beginning in 2028 when he finishes his mission trip. So they're going to have exceptions for religious reasons, for military service, anything like that. So he'll still be able in 2028 to start. He's not losing 2 years of eligibility just for that. So we're still going to be good there. And then the last one is the status of non-incoming freshmen and seniors on Purdue's roster. So think people like Omer Myers, CJ Cox, Jakari Harris. It's not currently clear how this is going to apply to them. So if it did end up applying to those players, instead of 2 years left of eligibility like CJ and Jakari currently have right now, they would have 3 going into 26-27. So you almost start thinking about them like you did last year, where they have 3 left. But it also puts players like Jack Benner and Daniel Jacobson and Raleigh Burgess in the same class as them again in terms of their eligibility left, because that redshirt year that those 3 all took wouldn't count. And that's actually something Painter said on the Pete Six podcast, is that he interprets it that those 3, Benter, Jacobson, and Burgess, would all have just the 3 years left that CJ and Jakari would have as well, and not the 4 for their redshirt. So little confusing.
Yeah, this might
no
be
one
going a
really
little over my
knows, I
head.
think. Yeah. It's all really interesting right now, but the fact of the matter is there's a good chance that you look at Luke Ertl and Jacob Weber, we're probably going to see them play for 5 years.
That's just
compared to the
crazy.
4 that we saw for all the other classes, unless, God willing, they're good enough to go to the NBA. That's probably pretty good for Purdue in the long run. But if they're not, if they're maybe a player like Fletcher's caliber, who's very good, but probably not an NBA player right away, it might be beneficial for a team like Purdue, who's good at retaining talent and maybe doesn't have those NBA guys right away, to have that experience in their 5th year eventually to hopefully break through, and maybe that wins out in
It
March
really makes you
eventually.
think about those schools like, St. John's, where they're literally only targeting seniors. They're only going to be targeting seniors and 5th years at this point. I guess, are we just going to start calling them 5th year seniors? We got to create a whole new class at this point, I guess.
That is true. We do need a name. Is it just going to be super senior? I kind of like
super senior. I feel like has such a negative connotation. Maybe if I was one of them, I'd be like, I don't want to be
victory lap.
Yeah, victory lap's not. I don't hate that.
I like the victory lap year.
That's all right. You know, I'll go with that. That's what I'm gonna start calling it from now on. So,
but that's pretty much all that has to do with those rules. Like I said, all of this is pretty much subject to change. I think they are going to vote on it soon, but again, with a lot of the players who entered the transfer portal at the end of this season, and people are kind of scratching their heads saying, I thought this guy was out of eligibility, they're just going to go to the courts and see if they can win and potentially play again.
Yeah.
So for all we know, even though it seems right now Charlie Baker, who's the president of the NCAA, is pretty confident about this not retroactively applying to 25, 26 players, maybe the portal's going to open again in a month.
Yeah, let's start
and
suing.
all of those players are going to be able to find new homes. Maybe that's why we still have a roster spot open.
Braden.
Who knows?
Yeah, it's something that I feel like we're going to be talking about all summer. There's going to be a new thing happening every month, and we'll be going into the season probably just then finding out what the final rules are.